Hi, Bill Henshaw here again with more of my current events videos. And this is the anti-lynching bill part 2. Uh, and this anti-lynching bill is trying to be passed by the Democrats who have no clue what the Constitution means, what it says, nothing. It's best described, as far as I'm concerned, by T.S. Eliot, who once opined that the last temptation is the greatest treason, to do the right thing for the wrong reason. And that's what they're doing. And they're setting up the New York banksters to take over the government even quicker than they might otherwise be able to do it if we don't stop them. Because when you use statutes based on federal regional martial law, and that 14th Amendment was a war amendment enacted directly pursuant to the Reconstruction Act of 1867, about which more later. But when you do that, now you're going to get what, like we have just had with George Floyd, a lot of rioting in the streets. Most of it looks like peacefully, and some of it I think has actually done some good, and I'm glad to see that, because that bastard cop in Minneapolis charge got bumped up to second-degree murder, which still isn't where it should be, and they charged his accomplices, which they should have done from day one also. So we're making progress there. Who knows what's going to come? I personally think deals have already been cut in this, because they're not going to go to trial, because where the hell are you going to find a fair trial in a case like this who doesn't know about the events and have seen the video of what happened in Minneapolis? So I'm thinking, tongue-in-cheek, I might put in an amicus brief on this subject and say, well, if you want to remove it and get a neutral jury, why not transfer to Pyongyang, North Korea? That would be a lot more in keeping with the government we have here, too. They're two peas in a pod. So that's just the kind of thing. And then conveniently, what can happen with all these riots is that, the Feds and Trump can declare martial law and conveniently blame it on all these black rioters out there causing all the problem. And that sales pitch, unfortunately, will still resonate with a lot of white America, which it shouldn't. We are all in this together. When you realize, number one, that the blacks didn't gain a damn thing from the 14th War Amendment. All that happened there was that, Congress made everyone equal, not by raising the freedmen up to the level of state citizens, which they couldn't do with that amendment, but reducing us all to their level, where now all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state in which they reside. And I'll do a full video on all this BS that goes with the 14th Amendment. You'll see how it works exactly, where they don't recognize state citizens, and they've in effect converted states to territories. And that's a big deal. Congress is much more limited even in territories than they think, and than the New York bankers think. But it's much easier to put it past the American people, who are none the wiser about the true situation. If we're in states, for example, Donald can't call out the military and send them anywhere he wants without application by the legislature or the governor in the state. That's one reason he's getting a lot of blowback from the military. Probably in the back rooms in the White House, they're talking a lot about exactly what I'm saying here. You can't do it, Don. You don't have that kind of authority. Same thing with COVID vaccinations, scheduled to be going door to door by federal military troops. Oh, by the way, that reminds me that I now have a new COVID packet added to my materials. And you get information on the COVID packet and all of my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets. Send me an email at uwinnincourt@gmail.com, and I'll get you up to speed in a lot of areas a hell of a lot faster than I did. I was something of a slow learner, but then back in the day, we didn't have the internet and this, that, and the other. So I spent thousands of hours in those musty stacks of law books in the law libraries. But once you see how easy it is, some of it is just simple math. It really is amazing. And we start using these issues with our status, and even in their corrupt courts, it gives them a long pause for thought here, because if we're right and they're wrong, and pay attention, you law enforcement thugs out here, if these laws are unconstitutional as bills of attainder, if nothing more than that, and they are, trust me, then these cops, even with a badge, a gun, a shield, whatever, they're not acting in any official capacity. Therefore, not only are they personally liable, they have probably committed acts of treason according to the U.S. Supreme Court. Not me saying it. in actively aiding and abetting courts that don't have jurisdiction to exercise it. And we have the right to self-defense. So think of it this way, law enforcement people, and take it seriously, because if you're going to have not a problem with what happened up there in Minneapolis, George Floyd, and events all over the country. Now we have a 75-year-old white man that got shoved down in Buffalo. And before the video came out, the Buffalo police said, oh, all he did was trip and fall. And that sure in hell is not what happened. And if you think you can do this in the name of the law, you're in serious trouble here. That's not how it works. And, you commit acts of treason to the Constitution, and you weren't trained to know any better, which is not our problem here. You may have a cause of action against the governor and or the Donald for not obeying his sworn duty to see the laws are faithfully executed. Not our problem. But if you're going to take the position, we have all this power over you and there's not a damn thing you can do, think about it. A lot of people might reasonably come to the conclusion that when they see law enforcement on the street, that they're in serious trouble and they had better act first. And yet again, the Constitution mandates, the Supreme Court of the United States has said, we have the right to self-defense. So read the case. Back to me an email, uwinInCourt@gmail.com for information on my materials. And I'll send you a courtesy copy of the decision of the court, a case called John Badoff versus United States, 177 U.S. 529. This is the sort of thing that it looks like we're going to be forced to start doing if it comes to that. Hopefully it won't. There are ways to get around this, and I have a lot to say about that. The issues that I advocate, unopposed issues, got me out of a South Carolina jail cell. I was there alone, locked down 18 hours a day. 7 months as a political prisoner, no right to effective assistance of counsel. I blew the bums out. It wasn't even close. Boxing match, referee stops contest, TKO first round. You can do the same thing. It's going to take a little effort. There are no magic tricks here right now, but you study some of the issues here and get familiar with it, and you have the aha moment. No states. That defeats everything on the other side. They can't possibly get around that because we can sustain it. But you get all of my materials, you get an 82-page brief on the admission of new states. No local dumbasses even attempted to refute anything I've said there, which is an admission and confession that I'm right. And oh, by the way, the California Supreme Court has agreed with the two, not officially, but I have documentary evidence nevertheless that they know that California is not a state admitted into this union, and where you are probably isn't one either. So there's some issues here that we had to deal with that are going to, in the long run, will be good for us, even better for our children and our posterity if we get rid of this damn martial law government. And I think there's a real extraordinary window of opportunity to do this with all this martial law crap going on right now. There is. Takes a little time and a little effort. Was it Franklin, I think, said eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. So it does do that. And by the way, I'm in my 5th decade and 14th year all in this arena. And you don't have to be, by the way, nearly as good as I do. I shocked them into silence in South Carolina the first 30 seconds of my initial hearing. Shut them up. DA didn't say 2 words to me the entire time I was there. Didn't know what to say, and they're right. They had no answers. And they won't have any for you either when the time comes. That said, like my videos, subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The quicker we get in there with a lot of us raising these kind of issues, the faster we're going to make changes. Simple as that. And oh, by the way, nothing to do with civil rights. And I'm telling you right now, Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, I'm willing to take you on in an a cappella debate on the unopposed issues. I advocate anywhere, any place, anytime, and I will clean your clock given the opportunity. Thank you.